Merchant of Venice, Act 1, Scene 1. Venice, a street. Antonio. To tell you the truth, I don't know why I am so sad. The sadness is making me tired and exhausted. I don't know where I got this sadness from and where it came from. I don't know the reason for my sadness. This sadness is making me so absent minded that sometimes I forgot who I am. Salarino. I think your mind is full of thoughts of the ocean, where you big commercial ships sail. Your ships, which sail is stately manner like gentlemen of importance. They are like a procession on the sea, walking in the ram and are looking down on the small ships. The smaller ships or boats bow in front of your ships and pay them respect as they sail past them. Salerno. Believe me, if I had such a huge business, my mind would always be with them. In fact, I would be plucking grass and holding it in my hand to see the direction of the wind. I would be looking carefully at the maps for ports, harbors, and channels. I would look at every object that would harm my business venture and that would automatically make me sad. Salarino. My own breath while cooling my soot would make me tremble thinking about the wind at the sea. I would think of the dangers the wind would cause my ships. When I would look at the sand clock, the sand inside would remind me of the shallow waters and sandbanks. I would go to the church and seeing the church building made of rocks. I would think of dangerous rocks in the sea that would hit my ships and scatter all the spices on the sea. The water would be covered with my silks. In the second, my precious cargo would have turned to nothing. Just to imagine all those things, I can picture the sadness that would come over me if such a disaster would take place. Even though Antonio tells nothing, I know he is sad thinking of his ships and his merchandise. Antonio. No, I am not sad thinking of my merchandise. I thank my luck for my wealth. I have not invested my wealth and business in one ship, neither in one place. If I face a loss from one ship, my other ship would make me for my loss. Salarino. Then you are sad because you are in love. Antonio. What nonsense! I am not in love. Salarino. So you are not in love, then you are sad because you are not happy. It would be easy for you to laugh and be happy if your mind is in state of happiness, just like the Roman god Janus. There are people who have two faces. There are people with two kind of nature. One that wrinkle their faces when they laugh and their eyes seem to look very small. The other laugh like parrots foolishly at anything. There is still another kind of who will never show their teeth and ever smile just like Nestor. Salanio. Here comes Bassanio, your dear friend, along with Graciano and Lorenzo. Goodbye. Now you have friends to give you company. Salarino. I would have stayed here until I had made you happy if your better friends had not come. Antonio. You are a very dear to me. Understand, you have some work to do, and hence you are taking this opportunity to go. Enter Bassanio, Lorenzo, and Graciano. Salarino. Good. Bassanio. Hello, gentlemen. It has been a long time since we met. We sat and laughed together. You are becoming like strangers to me. Salarino. We will definitely meet you when we are free and at your convenience. Exit Salarino and Selenio. Lorenzo. My lord Bassanio, you have now found Antonio, so we shall take leave, but we will meet at dinner time and remember the place where we are to meet. Bassanio. I will not forget to meet you. Gratianio. You do not look happy, Antonio. You are very anxious thinking about your life and worldly affairs. People who think about worldly matters keep worrying and can never be happy. There is a drastic change in your appearance. Gratianio. Well, let me play a jester's role. Let there be a joy and laughter till have wrinkles, as if in my old age. Let me warm my body with wine rather than cool my spirit with painful groans. Why should a man with warm blood in his veins sit like his grandfather's statue made of white marble? Why should he sleep during waking hours and catch jaundice due to this bad temper? Tell you, Antonio, that love you. It is my love that makes me speak. There are men with faces covered as a stagnant pool is covered with slime and dirt. Such men remain silent to have a reputation for wisdom, seriousness, and deep thought. It is as if they said, I am the fountain of wisdom, and when I speak, let others keep quiet. Oh dear Antonio, I know such men, they are known as wise as long as they are silent. I am sure that they spoke. Those who heard them would curse their ears for the sin of calling their brothers fools. I shall speak more about this at some other time, but don't look for popularity with such a tool as your sad face. Come, Lorenzo, farewell for now. I shall finish my advice to you after dinner. Lorenzo, then we shall let you be free till dinner time. I must be like one of those silent wise men, for Gratianio does not allow me to speak. Gratianio, well, if you only give me company for 2 years more, you will not recognize the sound of your own voice in the case. Antonio, farewell. I will start speaking after your advice. Gratianio, thanks indeed, for silence is only praiseworthy in a dry tongue. Gratianio and Lorenzo depart. Antonio, is there anything of concern now? Bassanio, Gratianio, engages in such idle talk much more than any other man in Venice. His speech is like 2 grains of wheat hidden in 2 bushels of worthless stuff. You may spend a whole day to find them. When you find them not worth the search. Antonio, well, tell me, who is lady to whom you have decided to pay a visit secretly? You promised me to tell me about her today. Bassanio, you know, Antonio, how I have spent my merged fortune by having a more lordly way of living than my moderate income would allow me. I don't complain that I can no longer live in such a style as the nobles. My main worry now is to come honorably out of my heavy debts I have incurred due to my youth and its extravagance. I owe you most, Antonio, both in terms of money and love. Your affection gives me enough strength to disclose to you my plans and pay off my debts. Antonio, tell me everything, good Bassanio. If your plan is perfectly honorable as you are, you may be sure that my money, my body, and all my resources will be available for your use. Bassanio, in my school days, when I had lost an arrow, I shot another. watching carefully in the same direction to recover the first. By the risking a second arrow, I often got both. I give this childhood example because what I propose now is harmless. I owe so much to you, and like a self willed young man, I have lost everything that I got from you. But if you give me another loan like the first one, I don't doubt while I watch the aim so carefully that I shall repay you both the loans. At any rate, I can pay back at least your second loan and remain your grateful debtor for the first. Antonio, you know me well, but herein you only waste my time by all the references to my love. Surely you wrong me more by doubting about my readiness to help you with a bigger amount of money than you would actually spend. The holds good even if it means making me to lose all my wealth. You have only to tell me what you want to me to do. If you know that I can do it, I will be obliged to do it. So please speak. Bassanio. In Belmont, there is a lady who has inherited much wealth. She is beautiful and has great virtues. Sometimes I have received from her eyes lovely silence messages. Her name is Portia, and she is no less precious than Cato's daughter, who was the wife of Brutus. Indeed, the whole world is aware for her worth, for famous suitors are selling towards her from every coast. Her pretty hair adorns her forehead like the golden fleece, and her home at Belmont is like the ancient kingdom of Clocos. Many suitors like Jasons go there to win her. Oh, Antonio, had I the money to compete with them, my instincts tell me that I should surely be the winner. Antonio, you know that all my money is invested in my ships at sea. I have neither cash nor anything or which money could be raised. But go out and see what my credit can do in Venice. It shall be stretched to the utmost limit to enable you to go to Belmont and win over the beautiful Portia. Go at once and inquire, and I shall do the same. Wherever money could be had, and I have no doubt that I shall have it, either on account of my business credit or against my personal surety.